think this story could go in many. Your story is so. They had to write a whole book about your story, Clarence, and it's a page turner. And if people listening to this have not read your book yet, they're missing something. But there's so many different directions this story could go, and I just want to take a pause because knowing you and being around you when people come to meet you and hear your story. And I can remember that first night we were at the Veterans Roundtable, Lehigh Valley, and that woman came up from, I think, Belgium. I have a picture of her talking to you. She kissed you. Yeah. And she was a little girl, and she said, thank you. The Third Armored came through her village, and she was so afraid of the Nazis, and she was so happy to see you. And that was so neat. 75 years later, someone you never met walked up to you and thanked you so graciously. That's got to be a great feeling. I mean, for all the bad feelings that also you had, nightmares, I'm sure, that's got to make you feel good that there's a lot of people you helped. And then when you spoke at the Lehigh Elementary Center 2 springs ago, a year and a half ago, and then Earl Bridingham came up because he was laying communication wire through the streets of Cologne, and he got trapped in the one road, and he was cut off, and he would have been killed, he said, if it wouldn't have been for your tank coming through and clearing the Nazis out of that street. So there's another life you saved. And he said he'd been looking for you for 75 years. Remember that night when he came up and thanked you? So, that's a thing about counting your blessings, and remembering all the good that came from you doing your duty. A lot of grateful people out there, including myself and including Pete and everybody that knows you. But so then I don't know if you want to talk about the saddest moment at Cologne or not.
When we were at that intersection, a car came around the corner and down the street, and I figured that might be officers, German officers, trying to make their way out to the Rhine River and get across. So I tried, I fired, I hit the tires. And
machine gun?
Yeah.
30 caliber?
Yeah, 30 caliber. And which I did fire, and it came to a halt. But and Gustav Schaefer.
So we need to also add that she went between you and Gustav's tank.
Yeah, and he thought that something was wrong down there
as well.
Fired.
And he was also fired at, right? And he's told you afterward, among the things, he said they had no business being there. And the people of Cologne had been hunkered down for days now.
Yeah.
And why a civilian that was innocent, I guess her grocery store boss was driving, and she was in the passenger side. And, Gustav said they had no business on the road. There's no reason. But that was captured on the Bates film, and I know that bothered you.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe I shot them. I shot her and Gustav Schaefer, the German guy. He also thought he might have shot him.
And he became aware of it too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, later when we met, we both said we thought we might have done it.
Right.
Both.
That had to make you feel better. You weren't alone.
Yeah.
And I think Gustav made a really good point. He said, we didn't kill her. What was his quote? We didn't kill her. The war killed her.
Yeah.
You told me that a while ago.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's like you wouldn't have been there with a gun if it wouldn't have been for the war.
Yeah. Right.
That's a shame. And I know that's another person that you haven't forgotten, and you make sure she is remembered. How do you do that?
They put roses on her grave every year at her birthday.
Yeah.
And when you were over, both Gustav and I, we both put some roses on
Right.
her grave.
Right. You both felt responsible. Yeah. So, you're in war, we have to do things we're called upon to do. And sometimes we don't like what we have to do, but we do our duty. And, there's men like you that have to bear the responsibility of what you had to do.
Yeah, well, there was no choice. It was them or us.
And you met with Katharina Esser's family. I think she had some nephews and nieces that were still alive.
Yeah.
And how did that go?
I hesitated. I didn't know how they were going to receive me, And first thing I said, I'm sorry for what happened to her. I never would have shot a woman. I said, Mrs. Smoyer, we understand it was wartime and she was in a place where she shouldn't have been. And you don't hold any hard feelings against you for it.
It's wonderful of them to say that.
Yeah. In fact, the one her aunt, I think, said she comes to the States sometime, and she was gonna look me up when we got back home.